The Silent Guardians. Commander Alinga Rice stared at the sensor readings with growing dread. There was no mistaking the pattern of energy signatures approaching Frontier Station. The Voidborn had found them. "How long?" she asked, her voice steady, despite the fear clawing at her chest. Lieutenant Kwa OC checked his console. 30 minutes, maybe less. Their engines are pushing past what we thought was their maximum velocity. Frontier Station hung in the void at the edge of human space, officially classified as a scientific outpost studying stellar phenomena. Unofficially, it served as humanity's early warning system, a sentinel watching for threats from the unexplored regions beyond. The station's existence was known to the Galactic Conclave, the loose coalition of spacefaring species that dominated this sector. But they paid little attention to what they considered a primitive species, fumbling their first steps into interstellar space. That suited humanity just fine. "Begin evacuation protocols for non-essential personnel," Elena ordered, "and prepare the quantum transmitter." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. The quantum transmitter was reserved for one purpose only: to alert Earth in case of catastrophic emergency. In the 15 years since Frontier Station was established, it had never been used. "Are you certain, Commander?" asked Chief Engineer Takashi Himura. "Once that signal goes out, I'm aware of the implications," Chief Elena replied. "But the Voidorn aren't here to make friends. Those are warships, not diplomatic vessels." Everyone on the station knew about the Voidborn. Intelligence briefs described them as one of the younger spacefaring species, but extraordinarily aggressive territorial predators who viewed other sentient life as either competition to be eliminated or resources to be harvested. 3 other civilizations had already fallen to their expansion in the past decade alone. "The evacuation pods are ready," reported Security Chief. "But they won't all make it out before the Void arrive." Elena nodded grimly. "I know. We need to buy them time." She moved to the central command console and placed her palm on the biometric scanner. A hidden compartment slid open, revealing a small device with a single red button protected by a clear cover. "Commander Reyes authorization. Sierra Echo November Tango. India November Ecolma. Initiating protocol. Homeward bound." The cover slid away with a soft click. Elena took a deep breath and pressed the button. Deep within the station, the quantum transmitter hummed to life. Unlike conventional communications that relied on electromagnetic waves or even tachin bursts, the quantum transmitter utilized quantum entanglement, allowing instantaneous communication across any distance. The technology was rare and jealously guarded, far beyond what the Galactic Conclave believed humans possessed. "Message sent," confirmed Communications Officer Lini. "Earth has acknowledged receipt. Now we hold the line," Elena said, turning to face her crew. "Every minute we delay them is another escape pod safely away." The station's meager defenses came online, a handful of laser batteries and a magnetic shield generator that everyone knew wouldn't last against a dedicated warfleet. They weren't meant to win this fight. They were meant to die with dignity and purpose. On the main view screen, the Voidorn fleet emerged from the darkness of space. 12 vessels, their hulls of mottled gray-green that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, moved with predatory grace toward the station. Their organically looking design, reminiscent of deep-sea predators, had earned them their name among human intelligence services. "They're hailing us," Lynn announced, surprise evident in her voice. "Put them through," Elena ordered, straightening her uniform. The view screen flickered, and Elena found herself looking at a Voidorn commander for the first time. The alien's face resembled a cross between a shark and an octopus, with multiple eyes set in ridges above a mouth ringed with tentacle-like appendages that moved continuously. Its skin glistened with a metallic sheen under the lights of its bridge. "Human outpost," the creature said, its words translated by the computer into a flat, emotionless voice. "You have been detected in Voidorn expansion territory. Surrender your facility and prepare for processing. Resistance will result in immediate termination." Elena met the alien's gaze steadily. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of Frontier Station. We are a peaceful scientific outpost in neutral space, as recognized by the Galactic Conclave boundary treaties. Your presence here with military vessels constitutes an act of aggression." The Voidborn commander tentacles rippled in what might have been amusement. "The Conclave's treaties are irrelevant. Your species is not worthy of consideration. Your technology is primitive. Your numbers insignificant. You will be processed or eliminated. We reject your terms, Elena replied simply. And I should warn you, humanity is neither as primitive nor as insignificant as you believe. The communication cut off abruptly. Seconds later, the station shuddered as the first volley of weapons fire struck the shields. Shields at 70%, reported Tactical Officer. They're testing us. Return fire. All batteries, Elena ordered. Target their lead vessel. The station's lasers lanced out, scoring hits against the Voyorn flagship. The damage was minimal, but it was enough to provoke a response. The alien vessels spread out, adopting an attack formation. Evacuation status, Elena demanded. 42% of non-essential personnel away, Maya reported. Pods are launching continuously. Another blast rocked the station harder this time. Consoles sparked and emergency lighting kicked in on the bridge. Shields at 40% and failing. Jen called out. They're concentrating fire on our defensive systems. Elena gripped the edge of the command console. How long until? Her question was cut short as the sensor array erupted with alerts. Space itself seemed to distort at a point 5,000 kilometers from the station. The stars blurring and stretching as if pulled toward a singularity. What the hell is that? Quain whispered. The distortion expanded, forming a perfect circle of twisted space roughly 2 kilometers in diameter. From within this spatial anomaly, something began to emerge. First came the prow, sleek, midnight black, and bristling with weapon systems unlike anything the station crew had ever seen on human vessels. Then the rest of the ship slid into normal space with impossible grace for something so massive. It was a destroyer, but unlike any in Earth's publicly acknowledged fleet, its hull bore no markings, except for a single stylized lightning bolt emblem on its side, in deep crimson. IF identifies it as the EFS Thunderbolt, Lynn reported, her voice trembling with emotion. Earthfleet Special Division. Before anyone could respond, 2 more spatial distortions appeared, disgorging the additional vessels, one larger than the Thunderbolt, one slightly smaller. Their design was similar, predatory, sleek, and unmistakably built for war. The Perseus and the Artemis. Lynn identified them, there hailing the Void Fleet. Put it on speaker, Elena ordered, hardly daring to believe what she was seeing. A new voice, cold and precise, filled the bridge. Voidorn vessels, this is Captain Marcus Chen, of the Earth Fleet ship Thunderbolt. You are engaging a human installation in violation of territory claimed by the Sol Protectorate. Power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. The Voidorn commander's reply came swiftly. Unknown vessels. This sector is claimed for Voidorn expansion. Your primitive species has no standing to issue demands. Depart or be destroyed with the outpost. There was a pause. Then Captain Chen's voice again, containing just a hint of what might have been anticipation. Very well. You have made your choice. What happened next occurred so quickly that Elena could barely follow it. The 3 Earth vessels moved with impossible speed, their engines leaving trails of blue-white energy as they accelerated toward the Voidorn fleet. From the Thunderbolt's forward section, a pulse of energy, not a laser or plasma bolt, but something that seemed to distort the very fabric of space around it, lanced out and struck the Void flagship. The alien vessel didn't explode. Instead, its hull seemed to compress inward, as if crushed by an invisible hand. Secondary explosions rippled along its length as the ship crumpled like an aluminum can in a giant's fist. The remaining Void ships scattered, abandoning their attack on the station to focus on this new, unexpected threat. They fired their weapons in perfect coordination, energy beams converging on the Thunderbolt from multiple vectors. The human vessel made no attempt to evade. The enemy fire struck some kind of defensive field that flared brilliant blue, absorbing the energy without apparent effect. My God, Quain whispered. What are we seeing? Elena had no answer. Nothing in humanity's known technological arsenal could explain what they were witnessing. The 3 Earth vessels moved through the Voidorn formation like wolves among sheep, their weapon systems disabling or destroying alien ships with surgical precision. Within minutes, it was over. Of the 12 Voidorn vessels, 8 were destroyed. 3 drifted powerless, and the last had attempted to flee, only to be disabled by a precision strike from the Artemis. "We're being hailed by the Thunderbolt," Lynn announced, her hands shaking as she accepted the transmission. Captain Marcus Chen appeared on screen. A man in his 50s with close-cropped gray hair and the bearing of someone accustomed to command. His uniform was unfamiliar. Black with silver trim bearing insignia Elena didn't recognize. "Commander Reyes," he nodded in greeting. "The Thunderbolt will be docking with Frontier Station in 15 minutes to render assistance and extract your personnel. Your actions here have saved countless lives." "Well done, Captain," Elena replied, struggling to find words. "Thank you for the rescue. But what is the Thunderbolt? When did Earth develop this technology?" Chen's expression remained neutral, but a hint of pride showed in his eyes. "That, Commander, is a long story, one that the galaxy is about to learn. Thunder and lightning." The observation deck of the Thunderbolt provided a panoramic view of space that would have been breathtaking under normal circumstances. Now, as Commander Elena Reyes stood beside Captain Chen, watching the last of her station's personnel being evacuated, she could only focus on the graveyard of void ships floating in the void. "How long has Earth been hiding this level of technology?" she finally asked. Chen clasped his hands behind his back, his posture military perfect. "Since first contact. Essentially, when our probes first encountered alien transmissions 70 years ago, Earth's leadership made a strategic decision. We would present ourselves as a young, technologically unsophisticated species, while secretly preparing for the possibility that the galaxy might not be as welcoming as we hoped." 70 years, Elena shook her head in disbelief. "That's impossible." "The technological leap was already underway," Chen interrupted. "The public history books record that quantum physics hit roadblocks in the early 21st century. The truth is that theoretical breakthroughs in unified field theory led to practical applications that the general population never saw. By the time we detected alien signals, we had already developed the foundation for gravity manipulation, energy weapons, and faster-than-light travel." Elena turned to face him and the Thunderbolt. "These ships weren't built overnight. The Silent Fleet has been in development for 40 years, Chen replied. "Constructed in secret facilities throughout the outer solar system. The Thunderbolt is actually one of our older vessels." A lieutenant approached, offering a data tablet to Chen. He scanned it quickly and nodded. "The Voidborn have sent a distress signal," he informed Elena. "Their home fleet is mobilizing." "As expected." "Expected?" Elena asked. Chen's lips curved in a thin smile. "Commander, what you witnessed today wasn't just a rescue mission. It was the first phase of an operation, decades in planning. The Voidborn have been systematically eliminating what they consider lesser species for generations. Intelligence indicates that humanity was next on their list." He gestured for her to follow him to a tactical display. It showed hundreds of points of light emerging throughout nearby sectors of space. "These are Earth fleet vessels revealing themselves across the galaxy," Chen explained. "Simultaneously, with our engagement here, 37 other human ships are moving to protect our outposts and allies. The Silent Fleet is silent no more." Elena stared at the display, trying to comprehend the scale of what she was seeing. "The Galactic Conclave will see this as aggression. Perhaps initially," Chen agreed. "But they'll soon understand our true purpose." The ship's AI announced an incoming transmission from Earth Command. The tactical display was replaced by the image of a stern-faced woman in her 60s, wearing an admiral's uniform. "Captain Chin," she greeted him. "Phase 1 is complete. All targeted Voidborn battle groups have been neutralized with minimal casualties. The Conclave has requested an emergency session." "As anticipated, Admiral Harris," Chen replied. "Commander Rise of Frontier Station is with me. Her warning gave us the perfect opening." Admiral Harris nodded to Elena. "Your service will be remembered. Commander, Captain, you'll proceed to Conclave Station immediately. The diplomatic team is already en route. It's time for humanity to formally introduce ourselves to the galaxy." The transmission ended, and Chen turned back to Elena. "You're about to witness history. Commander, care to join me?" 48 hours later, Elena found herself aboard the Thunderbolt as it approached Conclave Station, an enormous ring-shaped structure that served as the neutral meeting ground for the galaxy's spacefaring civilizations. 5 other Earth vessels had taken up positions nearby, their presence causing visible alarm among the various alien ships in the vicinity. The diplomatic shuttle carried Alina, Captain Chin, and Earth's newly revealed diplomatic corps to the station. As they walked through the grand corridors, representatives of a dozen alien species watched them pass with expressions ranging from curiosity to outright fear. The conclave chamber was a vast amphitheater with delegation booths arranged in concentric circles around a central speaking platform. Elena took her place beside Chin in the human delegations booth, which had previously been one of the smallest and least prominently positioned. Today, it had been moved to the inner circle. The session began with accusations. The Voidborn representative, a high-ranking admiral whose tentacles riot with barely contained rage, demanded sanctions against humanity for their unprovoked aggression and technological deception. The Azarin delegate, a crystalline being who served as the current conclave moderator, acknowledged the complaint and invited Earth's representative to respond. Ambassador Sarah Chen, no relation to the captain, Alina had learned, stepped onto the central platform. Unlike the military personnel, she wore flowing robes of deep blue enlaced with Earth's new emblem, a stylized planet with a lightning bolt through it. Esteemed delegates of the Galactic Conclave, she began, her voice calm, but carrying throughout the chamber. Humanity stands before you today not as aggressors, but as protectors. For 70 years we have observed the Conclave's operations while presenting ourselves as a young developing species. She gestured, and holographic displays activated around the chamber, showing footage of voidborn attacks on other civilizations. What you see here is the systematic genocide of 3 spacefaring species over the past decade alone. Species who appealed to this very body for protection and received nothing but empty platitudes. Murmurs spread through the chamber as the footage continued, showing the devastation wrought by the void. Many delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The Voidborn's next target was humanity. Ambassador Chen continued. Their attack on our frontier station was merely the first step in a planned campaign of extermination. We responded not just to protect ourselves, but to end the threat they pose to all developing civilizations. The Voidborn admiral rose from his seat, voice translator, conveying his fury. These are fabrications. The human presence in that sector was a provocation. We have accessed your military command archives, Ambassador Chen interrupted, her voice hardening. Your species has eliminated 17 civilizations in the past century. The evidence has been provided to all conclave members. She turned to address the entire assembly. Humanity concealed our technological advancement, not out of deception, but out of prudence. We watched how this body treated emerging species as curiosities at best, and as resources to be exploited at worst. The chamber fell silent as Ambassador Chen continued. Today we reveal ourselves fully. The Silent Fleet now stands as guardian, not just for humanity, but for all species who wish to develop without fear of predation or exploitation. The Azarin moderator's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been concern. Ambassador Jen, while the evidence against the Void is compelling, your species has no authority to appoint itself galactic protector. Such actions must be sanctioned by the Conclave. With all due respect, moderator, Chen replied. The Conclave has demonstrated its unwillingness to fulfill that role. 17 extinct civilizations stand as testament to that failure. She gestured again, and the holographic display changed to show the current positions of Earth's fleet throughout the galaxy. The scale of the revelation sent fresh shockwaves through the assembly. We do not seek conquest or dominion. We seek only to ensure that what happened to those 17 civilizations never happens again to any species. As the implications sank in, Alina realized that the galaxy's power structure had been irrevocably altered. Humanity, long dismissed as an insignificant newcomer, had revealed itself as perhaps the most technologically advanced species in known space. In the days that followed, the Conclave reluctantly acknowledged the evidence against the Void and imposed sanctions. More significantly, they established a new protective council, with humanity as a founding member. The Silent Fleet was formally recognized as a peacekeeping force, authorized to intervene against existential threats to developing civilizations. Standing on the observation deck of the Thunderbolt as it prepared to depart Conclave Station, Elena found herself joined by Captain Chen. Having second thoughts about your new assignment? He asked. Elena shook her head. No, sir. It's just a lot to process. Yesterday I was commanding a small observation post. Today I'm being appointed as liaison officer to the Protective Council. Chin nodded. Few were more qualified. You stood your ground against the Voidorn when you thought you had no chance of survival. That's exactly the spirit that built the Silent Fleet. What happens now? Elena asked, watching as a delegation from one of the younger spacefaring species boarded a shuttle bound for Earth. Now Chen smiled slightly. Now the real work begins. We've revealed our hand. And while many species are relieved to have protection against predators like the Void, others are unsettled by the sudden shift in the balance of power. He turned to face the stars. Humanity didn't set out to become the galaxy's sentinel, Commander Ryas. But sometimes duty finds us whether we seek it or not. The distress signal you sent didn't just save your station. It signaled the beginning of a new era for the galaxy. As the Thunderbolt engaged its engines and prepared to create another spatial distortion for its journey, Alina couldn't help but feel a mixture of pride and apprehension. Humanity had stepped out of the shadows and onto the galactic stage in spectacular fashion. What came next would reshape the destiny of countless civilizations. The Sentinel's call had been answered, and the galaxy would never be the